Full disclosure, news and commentary number 33, 33, 33, 33, 33. Yeah. Mimosa holding microphone. Welcome, one and all. An unboxing. In fact, I've got like 3 to go. Three. I got out of thing yesterday. Patreon people. First, before I do that, what is our motherfucking thing on? The commentary is about Kohlberg's Morality Pyramid and how it applies to wrestling. I've talked about it before briefly, sort of brief notes, occasionally on my Facebook, which a lot of people are friending me. Awesome. All that crap's below. But I'm going to go into it in depth. I know, you're excited. But fuck it, I have an audience now, so I'm going to indulge myself with sort of the more intellectual things, because I think the right people are listening and hearing me, which I enjoy, and I think is good. Malone, Eric, Diana, Hold My Beer, Hansen, Georgia Indie Report, Logan Frazier, Josh, Southern Honor, Larry, not that one, another one, Rob, Rod, Brian, Double Dropkick, and the OG Myron. Thank you for supporting me on Patreon. Things are good right now in my world. For those of you who cared, and for those of you who are sad about the fact that things are good in my world, go fuck yourself. Yay! Yeah, things are going really, really good, and I certainly want them to appear that way. Maybe I'll have somebody give me an award to erase my sins. Let's unbox. By the way, for those who care, David Bowie, Finding Fame is what I'm watching. Documentary about a 5-year period in David Bowie's life. Oh, baby, I love it. No note, of course, but I suspect I know who it's from. Cookie Monster in a Wave. Hokusai Wave. It's a very famous Japanese thing, and they combined it with Cookie Monster. Adore it. Of course, I'm wearing the Joker shirt. Let me put this bad boy on, and let's get to it. Tipping point, by the way. Tonight, interview with Dr. Tom. Larry did a phenomenal job with the interview. I did a pretty good job with the interview. And Dr. Tom did an unbelievable job with the interview. A couple of my favorite things that have happened lately. I got to say, Kyle Matthews on Gunnar Miller's 60-Minute Broadway. You should listen to it. Tremendous. Think of the string of guests that he's had. I think Kyle Matthews will surprise you. Not that he's articulate, we already knew that. It's just that he was so comfortable talking. Wonderful. Is a comeback in the offing for Kyle Matthews? I hope so. But Kyle Matthews, Dan, of course, talking about all things awesome going on in his life, and seeking human victims and other things Dan is doing. It's tremendous. The Lynches, I thought, were fantastic. And Tank, of course. Gunnar Miller on a motherfucking roll. No doubt about it. A lot of shows going on. And in what was considered a sort of off-ish week, as far as a lot of the majors weren't doing things, but I don't know, I might have to amend that. Renegade with 52, certainly a lot more than 33. Lariato, which is a promotion that I I've been looking to start submitting their stuff more, and now they're doing it. I think it's wonderful. Drawing 250. Intense Wrestling Entertainment with a report from the Rob Rod. 63. They had really good looking posters and stuff like that. That really stood out to me. APW up to 50 or 84. Yeah. Face to face, you didn't submit a crowd. What the fuck? Same with GIPW. Get your crowds in, motherfuckers, and I'll talk about you more. Speaking of no crowd, Stranglehold. A lot of people sent me pictures. Not a lot, but more than one person sent me pictures of the non-existent crowd. It just wasn't there like a few minutes before bell time. I'm sure that they had a crowd. I've gotten different numbers on that. None of them are very big. If somebody from Stranglehold or whatever wants to submit an official number, awesome. And then Stranglehold's doing a show somewhere else soon. What the fuck? What the fuck is going on? That promotion. Ay. Total Aggression Pro with their big fundraiser of the year drew 240. Can't fucking front. That's an impressive number. It's their big one of the year. They did it up big. John the Body was there. That's awesome. And they're going to be back in the Landmark Arena. They wanted to make sure I said that. They are going to be back in the Landmark Arena in January 2020. Holy shit, folks. We're there 2020. PCW drew 59. Brian Blaze, the number one contender. Brian is a guy I've trained way back when, who's done nothing but be a great hand and now is ready to be much more. I'm excited. And Pro Wrestling Circuit, because I didn't get it in the other thing because the report hadn't come out, 187 on an undercover cup with comps over 200. The formation of the far left, Simon Sermon, Marco, and of course Romeo. Exciting heat angles. I'm a fan. News going on. AC Mack and Allen Angels ripping it up, doing their thing in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be going to Washington, D.C. next week. Super exciting. I may try to check out wrestling while I am there visiting my family. I'm just fucking kidding. I'm not fucking going to wrestling. You're fucking kidding me. I will be driving through the Carolinas, though. I'll be interested to see what I see pro wrestling related as I drive up to D.C. We shall see. Let's see. Larry taking a look at Pro South shows. I think Pro South is getting the fact that a lot of people aren't going to come to their live shows, but if they can get a good transmission going, that's probably the way to go. And Ace Haven is certainly pushing hard. Larry was impressed with Pro South, that they're getting better. You know, I don't know what the hell happened to NCW. What the fuck happened to NCW, by the way, in the Landmark, right? It was going to be a show where it was going to be a showcase thing where new guys could do their thing. Have they done a second show? I don't fucking know. Murder Josh and whomever else wants to get with me and let me know. I'm curious what the fuck happened. But there are other shows where people can learn and ply their trade and get seen and get some experience. And I think Pro South is one of those groups. I can't believe that they're still doing their thing and plugging away. But they are. And the Havens are doing a great job with it. Tipping Point, by the way, like I said before, is Dr. Tom. And it behooves everybody to listen because it's really cool. Next week's show, we're going to do another week because we had to skip an extra week. So we're going to make up for that by doing a show next Tuesday. I'm going to be on the road, but I'll still be able to call in. We're going to have Cyrus talking about his experience in Japan. That will be cool. He, along with Trevor Aon, who I did not get to talk to, wasn't able to do that one because my kid had a math competition. # Asian stereotype. And but this time I'll be able to talk to Cyrus, hopefully, and Todd Sexton. Southern Fried begins to make their push at the end of the year. This bit of great news, Danny Jordan appearing in AEW. Now, when you appear and you're basically getting crushed in a match, people are of two minds, right? Like, you appeared on this national thing and it's amazing and you're on your way. Too big of a statement. You got crushed, it didn't mean anything. Too light of a statement. The truth is somewhere in between. I do congratulate her. I think it's a much bigger deal than when guys would get on Jacked or Metal or Heat back in the day, and you'd have to show up not in your gimmick, but using your real name, wrestling, wearing standard wrestling tights and just getting squashed. Those matches meant nothing. This obviously means a little more than that. Between that and Alan Angels appearing and throwing a beer on somebody, it's clear that somebody's helping them out at AEW, and that's a good thing. Isn't that why we wrestle for whom we wrestle for from time to time and pay the dues so you can get your shot? Danny Jordan getting her face out there on national television is a great thing. The Alan Angels thing, throwing the beer, who gives a fuck? Doesn't really matter. Probably did himself more of a favor by him and AC Mack going and killing it in DC. Logan Creed, of course, at MLW, and Priscilla Kelly. Fucking awesome shit. And a lot of people have been sending me the screenshots of me watching MLW looking bored out of my skull. Folks, something that you learn at my age is pacing yourself. And as soon as they said, oh, from 5 to 9, there's going to be a 4-hour show, I said, time to pace myself. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Waited to put this out this morning because Fatal Attraction caught in a lie. Velvet Jones, who I often disagreed with when he had wrestling opinions that he would post publicly, which is perfectly fine. And this is not my way of saying anything other than I like that Velvet Jones has always put himself out there. I like that when people fucked with Velvet Jones, he fucked with them right back. Holy fucking shit. He's come up with some of the funniest fucking disses of all time. But he's a man who continually tries to improve himself, both as a man and a person, and as the activities that he engages in. And he is getting into this acting thing, and he's doing it right, and he's doing it hard. And if you've ever seen pictures on his Facebook, you know, he's learning the business, meaning the show business and movies and television shows, and he's learning every side of it. You can't do anything but respect it the same way that he kind of made his way in the pro wrestling world. He's doing on an even bigger scale acting-wise. So I wanted to, you know, he had promoted it very well that he was going to appear on this show. And it's one of these true crime shows that I fucking love. I love them. It's called Fatal Attraction. It's on TV1. Is it super cheesy? Fucking, of course, any of these where it's like, oh, here's the murder mystery, and here's what happened, and here's reenactments, and here's the officers who were there talking about it, and, you know, and it's always this twist, and then it always happens this thing. How was he as Dennis? He was fucking really good. He was fucking really good. Like when he did a great job acting. And you got to realize, it's sort of like appearing in a Roger Corman movie. You're never going to win an Oscar, even if you're really good, because of the genre, the situation that you're in. Everything's sort of tongue-in-cheekish. And in these crime shows and the reenactments, I gotta say they've come a long way from like America's Most Wanted, when those reenactments were just flat out cheesy and purely atmospheric. He did some acting in this shit. You know, the person that he was in love with, they had moments where they had to have chemistry, and I think they pulled it off. I was really taken when he was interacting with a woman's child, and it felt very sincere that he cared about the child, and that I could see him actually pulling stuff out of himself as an actor. Because Velvet, if you follow him on Facebook, he feels very close to his like nephews and that kind of thing. And I could actually see him implementing the tools of being a great and good actor in the scenes that he was given to do. And when you think about the range he was acting, interact with this woman's child in a way that convinces us in 10 seconds or less that you are forming your own family with this kid. I bought it. I want you to be in love with this woman and project the fact that you're in love. I bought it. I want you to project the panic that went through you when you were talking to the cops about what had happened, where guys supposedly busted in and shot her. And they cut between a lot of shots. They had a lot of stuff of Velvet that they would intersperse with the real footage of the guy being interrogated by the cops. And he acquitted himself very fucking well. When Batista was going and doing Guardians of the Galaxy, the WWE did not treat it very well. They did not make a big deal about it. They barely acknowledged it, which means the WWE has had their fingers on the pulse of what was hitting in our society. Never! And don't think Batista didn't note that. He certainly came back and worked for them, but it was never quite the same, was it? Like Batista, when The Rock in that horrible CGI and fucking scorpion fucking shit, it was so fucking bad, by the way. It's some of the worst big budget special effects that have ever existed in film, is that first Rock appearance in that Mummy sequel shit. But they fell all over themselves for The Rock. But for Batista, who's going to be in a Marvel movie, but then again, when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, it was kind of like, well, what the fuck is this shit going to be? I mean, comic geeks knew. And even comic geeks were like, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is not the biggest. And they really knocked it out of the park with that fucking movie, by the way. Way better than the fucking comic. I said it. I meant it. I'm a comic geek. But Batista really threw himself into the acting. That was the secret, right? Batista threw himself into the MMA, kind of. But he wasn't fucking good at it. We don't talk about Batista's MMA career, and there's a very good reason. If you ever want to watch that fucking match that's available online, holy fuck, it's unwatchable. It's fucking awful, awful, awful shit. But he's done nothing but a great job. He was fucking great in the Bond movie, honestly. And he threw himself into acting classes, and he committed himself to what he was doing, and really came out of sort of a negative time in his life. When that book came out, he caught a lot of shit. And he pulled himself out, and he did a great job acquitting himself. And now Batista, he's living that life, man. And he's still outspoken, and he's still Batista. I fucking love the fact that guy speaks up. When they fucking fired the director, he was the first one out of the Guardians cast to go like, this is bullshit. He who had less stroke than everybody else, major character in that cast, certainly less fucking pull than Chris or fucking Bradley Cooper or anybody else, but he's the one who fucking spoke up first. I'll never forget that. And I think Velvet is kind of cut from the same mold. He's always been a guy who's fucking spoke up about shit and defended his own shit, and he doesn't give a fuck what you think about Chris Nelms. He's going to talk about him positively because he had positive interactions with Chris Nelms, until perhaps he didn't, because at some point everybody just goes, wait, Chris Nelms, that guy fucking sucks. But doesn't disprove my point that Velvet fucking speaks his mind, and I think he will continue to do so in the acting world, and he will continue to throw himself in headlong as Batista did. I think there's a lot of comparisons there, and I know you're going, Steve, you're making too much of this shit. It's just a fucking appearance on a fucking show. of little consequence, the kind of thing you would binge if you were sick on a Sunday, and you would watch a bunch of them if you're a true crime guy, which I think a lot of people are. I think true crime enthusiasts are coming out the closet, and there's certainly enough material for you to watch, just like comic book geeks have come out of the closet, because there's so much shit out there for you to fucking love and enjoy. And the fact that you can whine about stuff, and even Star Wars fans, I think, are out in full force enough that they can whine about the newer movies and blah, 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 and love The Mandalorian and all this kind of shit. But the fact is, you have all this fucking shit to watch, and wrestling fans as well. What the fuck are you bitching about? You got every fucking flavor of ice cream out there right now. And only wrestling fans really debate about the quality of the fucking ice cream versus this ice cream. Yeah. So good for you, Velvet. It's called Caught in a Lie is the name of the episode, and it was the premiere of this season of Fatal Attraction. And that show's been around apparently for a long time. I think it was like season 9 or 10 premiere. It's just one of these shows. How many stories are there of people killing each other? And because it's on TV1, it's black people fucking killing each other. Of course, but fuck, dude, you're really doing the acting thing. It's awesome. He's also got a part in some like smaller movies that have come out. I'm gonna go out of my way to watch them too. Because wrestling people talk a lot about, here's a rant, about being supported. People need to support me, and my friends need to support. Wrestling people, by the way, who I think are some of the worst people at supporting other people's endeavors, because wrestling people think that wrestling is its own thing that needs to be supported, that runs independent of all other forms of entertainment and sports, except when it suits them to connect wrestling to other forms of entertainment and sports. But otherwise, they like the outlaw thing and that it's different and all of that, and think it's noteworthy. Right? You should come support me. You should come see my show. You should come do my GoFundMe. Right? Sure. But at the same time, your goal is to not be at the level where you require your friends and family to attend your event. And I think wrestlers forget that. For a while, it was the trend for wrestlers to put up this thing of like, don't try to get with me here. And they show this big stadium full of people. If you didn't get with me when I was here. I always fucking hated that shit. I never begged anybody to come to my shows. I didn't beg for my parents to come to them. But it meant a lot when they finally did. I didn't beg friends to buy tickets to fucking shows, with the exception of fucking Sacred Ground, the first one, because I was so fucking scared of losing my ass. But don't beg. Don't whine. Don't complain. Do the drives. Get to the shows. Help out the best you can. Make the best impression. Be kind to everybody in the back. I'm not a big believer in the formality of like, oh, you have to shake it, each and every person's hand. I am a fan of making contact with your coworkers, getting to know them just a little bit at least, and being a reasonable person in the back. I think as a lot of wrestling protocols slip away, the formality of them and old school guys holding people to it. Oh, motherfucker didn't shake everybody's hand. Fuck him. I'm going to fucking punch him in the eye when I get him in the ring. I think the fact that that shit is kind of dying away is fine. But I don't like the idea of the protocols of decency going away. And in fact, they should be reinforced. New guys should watch matches. Sure. You know who else should watch the matches? Veterans. Isn't that part of the perk of being a veteran, is that you can offer advice to newer people and help them along? And isn't it also your obligation? We talk about a lot of the obligations of young people and new people, and certainly they're out there. But people who've been doing it a little while have obligations as well. And I think instead of everybody pointing to the other, what they perceive the other to be, if you perceive yourself as being a veteran pointing to a new person, if you're a new person pointing at the old person, because there's a lot of this battling stuff going back and forth about who's not fulfilling their obligations and who's lying about their credentials and who's doing that. And the promoters are doing a shit job, and the promoters like, the boys don't share my fucking flyers, and bookers are like, guys, no one's ever on fucking time, and they fucking no-show with their bullshit excuses. And guys look at the bookers and going like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and blah, blah, blah. Get your own house in order first. Are you doing the best and your absolute best and fulfilling all of your obligations first? Until you do that, shut the fuck up. Hear me again. Unless you're fulfilling every aspect of your role 100% convincingly, shut the fuck up. And that goes for people on the sidelines, I would include myself in that, who talk about wrestling publicly. Are you somebody who's got your shit together? If not, shut the fuck up. Those who want to critique Gunnar Miller or the Tapped Out guys or me or whomever else, of course you're welcome to critique. But if you have tried to get an endeavor going, write a column, do a podcast, do wrestling videos, whatever, and you quit after less than 4 times doing it, shut the fuck up. Get your own house in order first. Show, don't tell. And then once you are showing and people are acknowledging without you having to beg them to, then you can tell me something. Until then, shut the fuck up. Commentary time. Boop. This is Kohlberg's Morality Pyramid. I would show a picture, but I want to get this video up without having to edit. Ooh, look at the reflection. David Bowie. Look at David Bowie's a young man on there. Cool. Kohlberg's Morality Pyramid. You just need to get the visual. The bottom level is avoiding punishment. And that's a lot of what wrestling is when you first get into the business and when you continue into the business. Avoiding punishment, right? Shake everybody's hand or else you're going to be blackballed and thrown out. Pay your dues, quote unquote, or else you're going to get physically punished in the ring. Do what you're supposed to do or somebody's going to stiff you. Kiss the promoter's ass and do exactly what he wants or he's going to bounce you from a show. I noticed that's a trend too, especially in Florida, where it's like, these guys that are not sharing my flyer, I'm just not going to book them anymore. Right? Avoiding punishment is a necessary part of everything, but you're supposed to aspire for more. All these people who debate, for example, on whether you should spank your kid and blah, 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 blah. If you're having to spank your kid, you are at the lowest tier of the morality pyramid. Just know that. And if that's where your kids are living most of the time, if they're only doing things to avoid punishment, then they are lower life forms. Because the lowest 2 tiers of that pyramid, which are avoiding punishment and doing things for your own self-interest and benefit, like the wrestlers who are like, yeah, I'll go, pin me, pay me. Yeah, if you pay my way, hot dog and a handshake, ha ha ha, la la la. If that's the only level you're operating on, avoiding punishment, or doing things for reward, then you ain't shit. It's the lowest part of the morality pyramid. It's where most people operate most of the time. Should I be aspiring for more, Steve? Yes. Let's go up the pyramid a little bit. Good boy attitude. What is that? That's the perception from others that you're a good person. That's where most people live in the wrestling world, especially in the age of social media. I always put the ring together. I always show up early and get that ring going. And then promoters and other people in charge dangle that in front of you, don't you? Oh, you'll get the title of good soldier if you come over and put the ring up. I wish guys would. That's the best way to get into the business. That's the best way to impress people. No, it's not. Let's dispel that lie. You're the person who shows up and puts the ring up and la 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 la. They used to make them do that shit in NXT, by the way. Just you know. But the truth is, the way that people treat that, getting a proper name for yourself, people thinking that you're a good person. It's really about, wrestling has reduced it to avoiding punishment or self-interest. People aren't putting up that ring, for the most part, for any other purpose other than people seeing them as a good person and rewarding them for it. So you see, even if you show up, even if you're demanding that people show up and put that ring up, and people are doing it reluctantly, they don't really want to do it, but they're doing it because they feel like they will be punished if they don't, it's still on the lowest part of the morality pyramid. There's a genuineness that's missing from most people in wrestling. That's promoters, that's bookers, that's the boys. And you have to be able to do things in a genuine, forthright fashion. That is much harder, but it reads as real because it is real. Moving up, law and order morality. There are rules in pro wrestling and you need to follow them or else, right? You do things because they're the law. That's your parents, right? You shouldn't smoke marijuana because it's against the law. And you hear this kind of shit from wrestlers too, right? Marijuana is against the law, so for that reason alone, it's wrong, right? Law and order morality in wrestling, unfortunately, usually it is the powers that be manipulating those underneath them whenever you see that invoked. Right? Well, that's your contract. You have a contractual obligation to show up. Well, that's an agreement that we made. You shouldn't double book and then go to the booking with more money because it's just not the right thing to do, and that's a rule. But the rules rarely benefit in pro wrestling the boys themselves against the powers that be. I know I said that I was going to let you go over. I know I said that I was going to give you this push. I know I said we were going to book you to do this cool stuff, but we really don't have anything for you. It never goes that way, right? Where it's just like, well, we had an agreement. We have kind of like an unwritten contract there. In fact, though it is far less the case nowadays, and I will credit all of those who report and talk about wrestling publicly. When's the last time you heard about one of these shows where they ended up not paying people, right? It doesn't really happen anymore. It used to be very commonplace. Think about that. It used to be very commonplace for shows to fuck people over on money of agreements that they made, but it's no longer the case. Where on the morality pyramid is that? Fear of punishment. Or losing face, the good boy attitude. Because in pro wrestling, we try to keep the real law out of there as much as possible. And I like it that way. I like that there's not a commission in Georgia that's worth a shit. And for those of you, and there's always this groundswell from a few of the dumber boys of like, well, maybe we need a commission. Ask the states where there is a commission how effective they are. They are not. Social contract. That's the second to last level. Social contract is I'm going to do things because we all have to coexist. I would love if pro wrestling would get here. We all have to coexist and work together, and we're all benefiting from this sort of mutual relationship of wrestler, fan, booker, promoter. So we're all going to agree to work together in such a way as it benefits all of us, if nothing else, because we have this social contract. Wrestling fans will stay in their fucking seat, and then they will pay for their ticket, and they will support the shows that they love, and they will support the wrestlers that they love, and they will not cross the line and blur everything to the point where they're fucking shit up more than helping. Boy, wouldn't that be nice. Wrestlers will agree to learn their fucking trade effectively and perform effectively and help create the suspension of disbelief to create a better experience for the fan, and then they'll be good to work with. Wouldn't that be fucking nice? Bookers will agree that they will continue to improve their skill at booking and that they will keep things moving, and they will provide the audience a great deal and maximize their entertainment while also hooking and dragging them to the next show, and communicate effectively with the boys and lead by example. Wouldn't that be fucking nice? And promoters agree to promote the show and understand that it is their primary obligation to promote the show and to get people's asses in there to watch, because they are potentially reaping the biggest financial reward, so they should be doing most of the work in promoting. Wouldn't that be nice? See how easy this shit is when you start moving up the pyramid? But as you move up the pyramid, your obligations increase, and nowhere more so than principle, which is the very top. You do shit because it's the right thing to do. It doesn't. If principles are happening, it's not about avoiding punishment or gaining favor. It's about doing things because they are the right things to do. Not virtue signaling so other people will reward you for it and say, oh, wow, isn't he just the great wrestler? Isn't he just the great person? Isn't he the great? Oh, look at him put up that ring. I'm going to reward. Oh, God, he's just so wonderful. You just do shit because you're being the best person that you can be, and you've lined up clearly in your mind what are the right things to do, what are the wrong things to do, and you do the right things and you avoid the wrong things. Principle. Avoiding punishment, while necessary on some level, is not what you're aspiring to. That's not where your life is supposed to be, wrestling people. Self-interest. Of course, there's many famous wrestlers who have never gone beyond this point. They want to be perceived better, but they still live in the world of self-interest or avoiding punishment. And you probably have seen where their lives have gone because of it. Those that want to appear the good boy attitude, the good boy face, oh, they're the consummate pro wrestler. Those that worry about the face. It's the next level up, but it's not much better than living like an animal, avoiding the stick, going to the carrot. It's not much better than that. Those that preach that we need rules and standards and we need to stick to them and that'll save wrestling. We're there, law and order morality. That's kind of the Jim Cornette level, and it's certainly aspiring for more than the bottom three levels, but it's not entirely where you want to be. Social contract is better, and we see some groups that operate on this level a high percentage of the time, where everybody's kind of working in conjunction and fans understand their place and help boost the show instead of be the show. And we see the boys working well with the office in order to create this sort of wonderful homogeneous thing. A lot of promotions pretend that they're doing that, but only a select few really are. And the ones that really are, you can kind of see the social contract at work. And then who's operating in principle? Truly operating with high principles in mind. Less than 3 in wrestling. But it's not too late. We can always get them numbers up, because less than 3, those are rookie numbers, kid. And we need to do better. This has been Full Disclosure.